Yo, Nimi gang, gamer Nimi here with a random Path of Exile 2 video. I know I haven't dropped one of these in quite a while, but I've been having so much fun in this game, and I thought I'll just share what I'm currently playing in 0.2, cause yeah, I've been having so much fun, and I'm currently in the end game at around T13, T14 maps. So I'm playing a Galvanic Shards shock-based rounds Tactician with 2 companions. So this is with the help of this Yidru Strider's Strong Vest, I think it's called, which lets you run 2 different companions with the combination of the Takanjo's head helmet piece. So basically 15% of damage taken is taken from the companion first before you. So it's kind of like a combined build of relying mostly on your companions. It's basically a shared damage build, you know, Galvanic Shards, but add in companions. Just basically wanted to have some companions that gave me good utility, as well as being able to dish out pretty nice damage as well. The companions will also put in work in this build. That's the idea behind this build. Very comfy, very good balance between offense and defense. You can customize your build in different ways depending on which companion you have, which mods the companion has as well. You can be more offensive or more defensive. That's what I love about this build. So before we get into the details of the build, please keep in mind I am not the biggest math guy. So if you want like detailed math calculation, how shit works about this build, you won't find that here. I'm also relatively new to the world of Path of Exile. I am still learning the game as we speak. I'm pretty knowledgeable, you know, right now. I mean, I'm T13 maps, so you know, I did beat T2 Zest in my first run with my level 85 monk. So yeah, overall I am pretty knowledgeable about this game. Okay, so now let's get into the skill gems, starting with Galvanic Shards. This is going to be our clear skill, one of the best feeling clear skills in the game and on the crossbow. So we have mobility first as our first support gem. Like, this skill feels awful without mobility. You feel very slow. I think it's kind of a must to run mobility in my opinion. I'm also running Gumbo Shot, which has a random chance to either PS, fork or chain an additional time. I think this is better than running either fork or either PS. I think having a chance to get one of either option is better in my opinion. We have Martial Tempo for increased attack speed. This just feels good. It's a must use. And we also have Conduction for 100% chance to shock, because we have to shock to proc that Herald of Thunder. Like, despite our companions actually shocking the enemy, which I'll talk about later, we don't always have to rely on the companions to shock for us. Sometimes your companions die, you will need to apply shock to the enemy for the shock burst round. So this is why Conduction is important for this particular skill. There are other options you can use. Stuff like Fresh Clip is pretty good for Galvanic Shards as well. You get a buff every time you reload in the past 6 seconds. You can run Nimble Reload, which gives you 60% increased reload speed. However, you can get some reload nodes from the passive tree. Like, it's a must. Reloading feels awful in this game if you don't invest into some nodes for reload. Your clear is going to feel awful. You have to invest into reload. There's also that support gem that has a chance to not consume a bolt, which is pretty good for Galvanic Shards as well. You can also find that on the tree. Next is Shock Burst Rounds. This is going to be our single damage skill. So basically for uniques and bosses, consumes shock to do some massive amounts of damage. So we are running Deliberation on this. Deliberation gives us 20% more damage at the cost of 30% more movement speed. Yes, 30% movement penalty. Now this one is optional. Honestly, it feels the same even without Deliberation. The change is very different, but again, like I said, with this build, it all depends on the customization of your build, because I was running a gorilla that had the Haste Aura. So Haste Aura gives you some movement speed, so it didn't feel all that bad. But even though the bosses are usually occupied with your companion, so you just have time to, like, you can literally just stand still and fire with shock burst rounds. It doesn't really change all that much. We are also running Lightning Infusion for extra lightning damage, as well as Heft for physical damage. Of course, shock burst rounds converts physical damage to elemental damage. Obviously, we are running Herald of Thunder. We have Long Shot on this, more damage against enemies that are far. Primal Armament for more elemental damage. Innovate to get a lightning buff every time we kill a shocked enemy, as well as Lightning penetration to penetrate enemies' lightning resistance. Now you can also run Deadly Herald, which gives you 30% increased damage. Very strong. However, it does cost spirit, so if you have some extra spirit to spare, this is a must run. Okay, let's now talk about our first companion. So we have a boa here, Little Piggy. So what matters mostly with the companions is the mods that it has. I'll talk about that more in the companion section, but for now, let's just talk about the companions I'm running. So we have a boa, like I said, he has magma barrier to make him a bit more tanky. He always shocks, which is amazing for shock burst rounds. Like I said, shock burst rounds needs to consume shock to deal massive amounts of damage. He also leaves shocked ground, which is amazing for clear and bosses as well. Shocked enemies take more damage, so this is an amazing mod. Honestly feels like a must use for this particular build because of shock burst rounds. For our support gems, we are first running lightning exposure on the boa because he's always shocking, right? Lightning exposure reduces enemy resistance by 20% on applying shock to an enemy. So this is a massive damage increase because our dude is always shocking, is always applying shocked ground. So this is an amazing support gem. We have enormity, which is downright a damage increase to our dude here. 20% increased life, 20% increased size, and 20% increased damage. Massive buff. It costs 20 spirit though, but as a tactician we have that node that gives us 50% reduced reservation of spirit buffs, which is awesome. So as you can see, my pig looks huge. If I take out the enormity, he like shrinks and is like, he just looks meh, he looks sick, bro. But add back enormity and he is massive. Just a very good support gem for companions. Then we also have loyalty support gem. So loyalty makes it that 10% of damage hits is taken from your minion before you, just like the helmet piece. So you combine this with the helmet and you have 25% reduced damage, right? Taken from the companions first before you. This is why I also have magma barrier on him to make him a bit more tanky and give him that much more survivability, as you see when we go deeper into the build. I'm running Wind Dancer. This is a must use spirit buff. For defense, of course, we are an armor stroke evasion rating build, so we must run Wind Dancer. I have pin, blind, and maim support gems. Emergency reload, another must use skill, gives us a huge damage buff that lasts for 6 seconds and instantly reloads your crossbow. I have premeditation for this, which gives us 15% increased damage to the buff. There's ingenuity to reduce the cooldown because this has a long ass cooldown, bro. It's like 40 seconds, 40 man. So ingenuity is a must use, and persistence as well to just make the buff last longer. So this is going to be your unique killer and boss killer as well. You must always pop your emergency reload when going in against a unique enemy or a boss to open up the fight and just shred that health bar, bro. It's an amazing skill. My second companion is the Quadrilla, and this dude has some amazing mods. I was hella lucky, bro. First, he has Conjures Lightning Storms. This is, I think, the best skill when it comes to overall damage for the companions. If you want clear, I think Lightning Storm is the best, bro. It's so strong, and I think it also scales with increased lightning damage, maybe even spell damage. I'm not the best mathematician, so I'm not really sure, but it does so much damage. I think at some point for damage I might run double Lightning Storm. I will test this in the future, but for clear speed, if you want damage on your companions, run Conjures Lightning Storms. He also heals, which is amazing because he can heal my other companion when he's weak. He breaks armor, bro. This is a massive W because you can deal 20% increased damage against broken armor, enemies with broken armor, and he also poisons, which is a bonus. I haven't really gotten into this particular mod, but maybe I can do some stuff with poison as well. So this is what I love about these companion builds, man. The customization is crazy. It's crazy. So I have elemental support for increased elemental resistances because my dude is naked. He does not have magma barrier like Pumbaa over there, so he needs to stay alive a bit longer. I'm also messing around with Feeding Frenzy, so he takes more damage but deals more damage as well. Like again, I want those lightning storms to hit hard, so I don't know if this helps. Requires massive testing. And finally, I also have Life Thief, which makes him leech life on the physical damage that he deals. So he has to stay alive, provide those heals, provide those lightning storms, and of course give me those nice buffs with the area presence, because I want him alive. There are so many strong minion gems here you can mess around with, stuff like mid shield as well. There is a passive node on the skill tree called Inspiring Ally. So what this does is any damage increments or damage reductions given to your companions also apply to you, right? So anything with damage on your support gems also applies to you. There are a bunch of support gems that give you damage, that give your minions damage, stuff like Upwheeling, which makes you deal more damage if you are below, I think, 90% mana, which is very strong. There is Minion Pact, which lets you deal 30 increased damage at the cost of your minion's health or your companion's health. I tested this a bit. It seems very strong, like at the cost of a minion's health, but if you can find a way to keep your minions alive, it's massively strong. So like, as you can see, I only have 3 sockets on my companions, and they'll just get stronger as I get that perfect Jeweler's Orb. Like, the damage increment from this is actually insane. I'm running another spirit buff, SHARDS Scavenger. Basically, when you consume shock or armor, it gives you a chance to not consume your boat. Also gives you an additional grenade charge, but you don't use grenades, so I'm taking the 2-second buff for not consuming a boat. I might replace this. Does not seem very strong. I think it's a very strong skill for grenades, not much so shock burst round, but for now this is what I'm using. Then I'm also using the War Banner. The War Banner is a bit underrated because this is a massive damage increment. Now again, I'm not the biggest math guide, but I think it gives you about a 30 to 40% increased damage if you have maximum Valor. So basically, when you kill enemies, you build what's called Valor, right? And the more Valor you have, the more damage you have. You always want to have it at 50 before you place it, and then boom, get that huge damage buff. Now, the only thing that sucks about this skill is the placement speed. It's like a 1-second placement speed. It feels awful, but man, I must admit the damage is amazing. It's actually amazing. So I have Magnified Effect for support gem to increase the range. Then I'm also running Concentrated Effect. Now I don't know if this works. I was surprised that I was able to socket this in my War Banner support gem. So basically it deals more damage but reduces the presence. Now we get a bunch of presence from the tree because we're running a companion build, as well as presence from our Ascendancy. So this is not really, does not affect us all that much, but I'm not sure if this support gem works, but if it does, this is a massive damage increment. Okay, let's now talk about the passive tree. So for the passive tree, you want to prioritize all the companion nodes. You can just search for companion and grab every single companion node you can get that aligns with your build. There is stuff that gives you damage whilst your companion's presence. You want to grab all of those. There's some that give your companion increased life. You want to grab those. Grab the ones that give your companions elemental resistances. You need to keep your boys alive for the buffs, so grab the resistance nodes as well. Grab the revive nodes. You want your boys to always revive faster because again, you have combined damage with your companions. If your companions dies, you lose practically half of your damage or somewhere close to that. So you always want to have that quick revive for your companions. Inspiring Ally as well, grab that. Makes it so that every damage increment, like I said, to your companion also applies to you. You want to grab the node that lets you heal your companions. Basically, if you pop a life flask, that also applies to you. Basically, the tree on the hunter side has a bunch of companion nodes. You grab all of those. They have reduced cost reservation as well, makes them a bit cheaper. Just prioritize all the companion nodes and you're good to go. You have stuff like just below those nodes, you have the tree that buffs your lightning damage if you have a Herald active, so you want to grab that as well because we're using a Herald of Thunder. You can grab the lightning nodes, the one that gives you elemental resistance penetration. It gives your lightning damage a chance to be lucky. You have to grab all those nodes. Grab the crossbow nodes below that give you a chance not to consume a bolt. The reload nodes, grab all of those. Basically all the nodes I'm showing here, just grab all of them. And most of the trees of the mercenary always looks the same. The only difference here is the companion nodes, right? Because it's a companion build. But if you're running a galvanic shot or shock burst round mercenary, the tree almost always looks the same. So just follow the tree and you're good to go. So For my Ascendancy nodes, you obviously want to grab the reduced reservation costs. 50% is huge, so stuff like Herald of Thunder costs only 15 instead of 30. This applies to the support gems as well, and there are a lot of support gems that use spirit that are very, very strong. So grab nodes. I grabbed the entire tree here, which gives us 25% of my weapons damage to my companions. Just want them to hit a bit harder, so I think this is a good node to pick up. Then I also picked up the polish that gear that makes us gain stun threshold and armament threshold based off a part of our evasion rating and our armor. I don't know which last two nodes I'll pick for my final 2 points. Maybe the pinning one, just for more defense, so I can invest more so into offense in terms of my minion mods and all, in my companion mods and all that jazz. But we'll see. I'll update you guys when I make up my mind. Okay, let's get into the stats and gear. So for stats, of course, we are an armor stroke evasion rating build. So I have no energy shield. I have 36% armor and 72% evasion rating. With the combined damage reduction from the helmet and the support gem from my minions, it's about 60% total armor, of course. And armor is bad, but I think combined with evasion rating, it's not really that bad. I don't die to random bullshit. I only die to stuff that like I deserve to, like huge ass slams. There's no way to counter slams in this game, so the slams do some really massive damage. Everything else I'm tanking, and chaos, so I'm dying to chaos. As you can see, I don't have that much chaos resistance. Of course, my boots are trash. I have maxed out all my razors except from my chaos resistance. My attributes are not that great. I need more strength, honestly, but for now it's working out. Getting into the gear, I just got this awesome crossbow yesterday. Cost me 20 exalts. Yeah, very early game stuff, guys. I haven't spent anything above 20 exalted orbs, which is crazy. I think the mercenary overall doesn't really have expensive stuff, so he's a pretty good class like that. My rings are trash. I don't even have damage on my rings, and I'm already like dealing this much damage, which is awesome. I need to upgrade these rings. Obviously, you want raises on the rings and increased lightning damage or adds physical damage. Pretty good. My gloves are alright, you know, definitely need to be replaced. Have some pretty good resistances, some armor as well, so they're alright. My belt is awful. Look at this, level 24 belt, bro. Level 24 belt. I haven't replaced this in a long time, bro. Like, I'm the kind of person that sticks to what's working. Like, until I reach a roadblock is when I start replacing equipment. Even the boots, I got a corrupted boots with no socket, which I need to heavily replace as soon as possible. So my belt and my boots need massive replacement. Of course, I spoke about the unique. This lets me run 2 companions. Now, there is a node on the tree. I think it's called Trusted Kingship. It also lets you run 2 companions. However, it does have a downside. It comes at the cost of 30% less defenses. So instead of having 36% armor, I would only have 6% armor. Instead of having 70% evasion rating, I would only have like what, 40% evasion rating. So this is a huge downside. However, it gives +2 defense for every +1 of your defense, so it makes your companions a bit more tanky at the cost of you not being all that much tanky. So I'll try to experiment with this. When I get my defenses up, my armor and evasion rating, I'll try to run Trusted Kingship and replace my body armor with a much chunkier armor and ES armor piece. We spoke about the unique helmet as well, which absorbs 50% of damage to my companions first before me. Pretty good for defense. There is a different unique that gives your companions 50% increased damage but gives you 25% reduced damage. But remember, inspiring ally, every damage applied to your companions applies to you as well, so that 50% is given to you as well, so that's 25% damage increase. I'll have to test that, but as of now this is doing much more damage. I just want a bit more defense. My ring, my amulet is decent, but again I don't have a lot of damage on this. So again, this is basic gear, guys. Gear I got at around level 60, level 70. I'm level 18 now, so I need to replace the hella stuff. Like, this build just gets stronger from here. Very low investment, 20 exalted orbs spent on my weapon, right? maybe total of 50 exalted orbs spent total for all of this, right? The uniques were both 1 exalted because no one is playing double companions or investing into companions as much. So every stuff is cheap and available, especially for the mercenary in general. Even crossbows are not that expensive. So I mean, I'm tier 13 maps, guys, tier 13, and on my mama, bro, this build can do T15s easily. But I'll update when the build is complete and I've targeted a bunch of endgame content, endgame bosses. I'll definitely update you guys on build. Lastly, I want to talk a bit more about companions. Like, obviously, this is what the build revolves around. So you must have your own little Pokédex of companions. And this is like the most annoying part about this build. You have to take some time farming good mods of your companions. Like, if you take a look at my Pokédex here, I have a bunch of different companions with different mods. I have the Bat from the Trial of Chaos as well. The Bat does good damage, but it is way slow. It's not worth it unless maybe it has haste aura. So I don't advise using the Bat. I've tried the Behemoth, amazing damage, but way too slow as well, not worth it. So the companions are found to be very good so far in terms of damage and utility is the Pig, the Boa, the Quadrilla, and the little spinner thing that spins a lot. Although the spinner thing is only good when hasted, it's also very, very slow. So these three are like the best so far. However, I want to try the Gorilla as well from the Trial of Chaos. This one has been a bitch to farm. I keep dying in the Trial of Chaos because I'm trying to get a good mod on the freaking Scorpion Gorilla. So I want to run the Scorpion Gorilla and the Quadrilla, because I think these two do the massive damage. The Scorpion Gorilla has this sick looking move, right? Kind of like a command skill maybe, but it has a sick looking move that I think, or I assume, we would do some good damage. So that is my target in terms of companions. In terms of mods, Shocked Ground, like I said, is amazing for Shock Burst Round build. Shocked Ground leaves Shocked Aura. Those are like a must. Even Lightning Storm is good because Lightning Storm can apply shock as well, so that's a very good mod. Haste Aura is amazing, gives you movement speed and attack speed as well. I have this on one of my Quadrillas. I've run it for a long time. Haste Aura and always shocked. I have a Quadrilla with Vulnerability Aura, so this Vulnerability Aura is also massively strong. So basically you get a pulse every 10 seconds which lasts for 5 seconds. The buff, you are invulnerable to all damage for 5 seconds. This also heals your, this also applies the buff to your other companion. Like if I'm going full defense, this is what I run on my other Quadrilla, right? But this time around I have full offense, or at least offense and defense mixed. So if I want to go more defense, I run the Vulnerability Aura. Offense, I want a bunch of Lightning Storms all around me. So this is what I meant by the customization potential of this build. Looking for companions with good mods. But again, it's a downside because you spend hours and hours on end trying to get a companion with the good mods. I spent like 2 hours farming for this Pig, bro, and I was lucky. Always shocks and leaves Shocked Ground. Massive dab. Another downside I would say that this build is damage over time ground effect. So stuff like corrupted blood on the ground or poison on the ground completely destroys your minions. There's no way to keep them alive unless you move out of that range or that area, or luckily you have invulnerability aura proc whilst dealing with those kinds of mobs. But overall, it's a very comfy build because of the damage tanking of your companions. They also do pretty much damage. It's a very comfortable build in general. Alright, so there you have it, folks. That's what I'm playing currently in 0.2. I am a huge fan of animals in general in ARPGs. That's why I can't wait for the druid. I'm going all in the druid. Of course, I did start with monk. That's my favorite class right now without the druid. I thought this time around with companions, I would try something different, and for me, a crossbow wielding dude with a bunch of tamed animals is just a sick ass concept. So again, this is way early T13 maps. I'm only level 80. very cheap gear that needs replacing. So if you want mobalytics to this build, please let me know. If you're interested, I can create the build for you to get started. I just wanted to share what I'm currently playing in this build. I will dive more into build guides later in the future, so if you have a bunch of interest, please do let me know. Thank you so much for taking time to watch my video. If you're new, please consider subscribing. PoE2 content is coming. I'm just waiting for the game to release because not many are willing to try early access, but I will cover this game. I have so many hours in this game and I'm so freaking addicted to it, man. I love it. And yeah, GG my boys, and thank you so much guys. Take care. GG.